Hello, everybody. Hope everybody had a great weekend, and you kept all LA for all the LA people, all the LA ranters. Hopefully, y'all survived the heat wave and are living carelessly now in the life, and it should be cooling down. But anyways, I'll tell you what's not. I'll tell you what's not cooling down though. House of the Dragon episode 4 got pretty steamy in the grossest way possible, like swamp steam. Not good, just gross. Ugh.
The hot D lives up to the name.
Before we get started with the spoilers, guys, as always, don't forget to give us a like, ring the bell for us, and please, above all, press subscribe, just because we do appreciate the support and would love to keep growing the Garanti community. But let's get started, shall we? So, Rhaenyra continued to be a bit of a brat this episode. I mean, because I was Team Allison, to be honest, this episode, just because. Hear me out, Bern. Hear me out. Okay, let me tell you something. Rhaenyra, like, her dad finally kind of gave in to her last episode, and it's like, okay, you get to choose who you want to marry, which is fair. And as we saw in the beginning, she's just kind of going through suitors, like trying to decide who's doing it. And in her defense, all those guys are just there for title and for politics, essentially. No one truly is attracted to her, neither she them. Although it was pretty crazy that the one kid at the end, which he was kind of stuttering, through his speech as to why he should marry her, ended up fucking murdering that one dude that was heckling him. Like, I was like, that's what you get, buddy.
Yeah, that whole little part was great, just with the Blackwood and the Bracken. I guess they have like some sort of rivalry or something, but the fact that the little shrimpy dude like took down the other kid, I was like, oh damn, okay, like get it, man.
It reminded me of Brave, where I forgot Merida. She she has all those dudes like also trying to wed her and stuff. That dude heckling was supposed to be like a handsome guy or whatever. And the little kid reminded me of that dwarpy dude who, with the buck teeth, who could barely shoot. He shot an arrow bullseye, no problem, and like he was a good dude and stuff. It just reminded me of that. I got those vibes harshly, but I also love the shot where Daemon came in with a Syraxes and almost like hit the boat a little bit, kind of brushed it. I thought that was a pretty cool shot of the dragon and stuff. But back to my point. Rhaenyra, she's just still kind of acting like a little brat, where her dad, like I said, her dad gave into the wishes, and she's not even trying to give it an effort. She says she stomached it, she did as long as she could, but it's like, how hard did you try? Did you even try and see the good in people? But the heart wants, and Daemon coming back, that was such a great scene. Just his hair's all cut short differently. He's got that weird like bone crown or something going on, and I was like, oh good, the brothers are. They're coming together. The dragon is forming back into one. Ghidorah is turning into one neck.
At least that's what we're led to think. Like we know Daemon, he's got his own ulterior motives, but the fact of like him like arriving back in King's Landing after being banished for the last couple years, it was pretty cool. Like again, like the haircut and everything. It's like, okay, like he appears like he's a changed man. But of course we know better than that.
Well, he changed for the worse, because he didn't come back just for his brother. He came back for his niece, which was just... it's Game of Thrones. It is a Targaryen family. We were just joking about this minutes ago, but... Ugh, the incest part got me, though. Just when he snuck her out of the keep at night, and they're just kind of experiencing the city. I was like, oh god, no. And the scene where they were like kind of talking in Valyrian and kind of reconnecting in the garden. I was like, oh, this is. I know. I feel like I knew where it was going. I kept telling myself, oh no, don't do this. Be better. And they weren't. They were kind of hooking up in the pleasure house. The House of Ill Repute, and they didn't go all. They didn't really go all the way, right? It was just kind of heavy petting and making out, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, like from the way the scene was shown, is like that he was basically impotent, like he couldn't go through with it, So yeah, it was like she wasn't lying when she was saying no, we didn't do anything, because I guess he couldn't go through with it, like either because like physically he couldn't, or like mentally he couldn't, or both. But yeah, like the act never occurred. as much as they both wanted it to.
True, but she lied to Allison saying nothing ever. He never touched me. It's like that's horseshit, and you know it, you little brat. You were macking with him hard, giving him your goodies, and yeah, he just couldn't do it. I think because he knows like he wants it, but I think something tells him like, no, that's not right, dude. That's your brother's daughter. Ew. Where was I going with this? And Allison, like I said, we're just seeing her kind of dive deep down into more solitude and sorrow. Like, I've really felt for her this episode. I think the most so far, just because, Aegon was actually nowhere to be seen, which I thought was interesting. That little kid was just kind of, that was weird. Because it's been now 2 years on top of the last episode have happened. So because she already had the other baby, which I forgot the other baby's name. I don't think they really said it, did they?
I don't remember it. No.
Okay. So she just looks so sad and miserable, especially we find out that they're in two separate chambers in the castle, which is like, oh, that's already bad. And then when she gets called up to his room to do her wifely duties, just her face, man, I was like, oh my god, this just looks awful. Just awful, like not enjoyable. And I don't think he was getting his ass. He was just doing it just to get his rocks off somehow. But
it harkened back to the conversation between her and Rhaenyra in the garden when she's like when Rhaenyra's like talking about like, oh, like I really don't want to like just be locked up in a chamber and having to birth someone's children. It's like, oh snap, like he was like, oh, she was like, okay, yeah, like this is exactly what Allison's like day to day is like. And yeah, of course I definitely felt for her in this episode, and I have felt sorry for her and her circumstances in the last few as well, because yeah, I mean like she's been put into this like position as like a young woman, like now she's like married to this like old guy, and it's like her only job these last few years has been to just like birth him children, so it's like it sucks. It like the scene between her and Viserys, like where she's just vacant, like just staring off into the distance, it just showed like this like horrible reality that she finds herself in, and that she kind of didn't want any part of in the beginning, and was sort of forced into by her own dad, which is even more fucked up.
Yeah, no, when you said the old guy, I just kept thinking of Big Daddy. Just yeah, you get it, like just how the girlfriend's with the old guy. Just you're probably with him and his old balls. Gross. I just thought about that, but yeah, like I said, I mean, she's been a voice of reason for him for the last few years, like just trying to do that. And this is the episode that really just made me like feel really bad for her, more so just because I thought, oh, maybe it's a salvageable thing, maybe she loves the kids, that kind of thing. But it's like, nope, she's been forced into, like, that's just all it was, the harsh reality of like, no, she's been forced into this is not enjoyable for her.
Yeah, like as much as of a connection that she does have with Viserys, like you can tell, like it wasn't a marriage born out of love, like they didn't go into it because they truly did love each other. It was sort of like an arranged sort of thing where like he had to pick another queen, and he was like, yeah, I'll go with her. I like her out of all the options that I currently have so far. So it's like, damn.
It was an arrangement out of sorrow, essentially, an arrangement out of comfort. That's basically what it was. And I will say this, I do respect Viserys for kind of, again, I do like the moments him and Rhaenyra have, like those kind of like touch base moments where they're really like, okay, where's your head at right now? Because you got to remember, this is why I chose you, and I told you about the Song of Ice and Fire. Like, we got to be prepared. He's basically saying, we need to be on the same side together. We can't keep doing this. And, when he thinks he's going to just disown her, which he probably well should have, because it was that good line of like, even if it didn't happen, it's all about perception at this point. You were rumored to seen with your uncle in a whorehouse. Like, what do you think people are going to think anyways? Like, your value has just kind of fucked up everything for him. So I do respect the fact that he's like, you're going to marry your Corlys' son. That's it. And it is a smart move. Like, got to keep all the two dragon families together just for the sake of stability and, the kingdom. But
And that does play again into the whole hypocrisy of how men are treated and how women are treated. Like when he confronts Damon about it, and he's like, "Yo, like when you and I were her age, like we were banging our way through all the whorehouses in King's Landing, and like it's like she should kind of be able to do the same." And it's like, yeah, like because of the way the society is, like they look down upon her for even like thinking that, like, oh, like this, like the fact that like she has to hold on to her virginity as some sort of like this great thing to be passed on, and like used as a bargaining tool to like marry someone else. It's like, no, that's a double standard. It's like she should be able to like do anything that she wants to do.
But I will say this though, like, it seems like Viserys is one of the few Targaryen, if not the first Targaryen of the family, to try and stray away from the old ways of keeping the blood pure, the McPoyle way, essentially. And I think it was just the fact that she hooked up with the uncle. Given it, the argument still stands that even if it wasn't her uncle, it was just some random dude she hooked up with, it would still be frowned upon. She would lose everything. But the fact that it was her uncle was like, I think that's what he's most worried about. But it's a bit of a weird thing, just because.
What do you mean by that, though? I mean, like the incest thing is a big thing in the Targaryen family. Like he married his cousin, like so it's like I think it was just more of like an affront on that, the fact that his brother came back, and it seemed like he only came back to, be with his daughter Rhaenyra and ruin the idea of, oh, she has her virginity and is able to marry other kings. Then that's something they're looking at, like, okay, like you tainted her. That's what he said. Like you deflowered her, basically. That's what he was sort of more pissed off about, less so about the incest thing, because again, that's like sort of a thing that they do in this family.
Okay, I thought his wife, like the Rhaenyra's mom, I forgot her name. God, she was only in it for one episode. I thought she was from a different family, or maybe I'm thinking.
No, they were cousins.
Oh, okay, they were cousins. Either way, maybe it's just me personally just not liking the incest part, but yeah, no, it is.
No, I don't like it either, but yeah, like yeah. He wasn't mad about the incest thing. He was like mad that he possibly deflowered her.
Yeah. Either way, it was just gross. It was bad, but I do like that Rhaenyra finally, if he had to, like, he finally stood up to Otto, and at least it came from her, because Damon's a wild card. Like, even though that's his brother, like his closest one, he's told him for years, like, Otto Hightower's been after your spot, or like after the throne for years. Like, how do you not see that? And it finally took her to be like, okay, you're right. And and then I think with all the, like, just their love making earlier in the episode, he finally realized, like, oh my god, this is not love. This is just, for status and stuff. Like, not that she did it for that. She was just forced into it. But, we know damn well Otto wanted that to happen. And he's been pushing for Aegon to be the heir to the throne. So a Hightower will be in the throne.
And he calls him out on that. He's like, yeah, like, what a great coincidence, that when like I lose my wife, like, this girl, that happens to be your daughter, is like the one that starts to tend to my feelings, and it's like finds herself making her way into like his chambers and like building up this relationship. It's like, okay, like, that didn't all happen by accident, so I'm glad that he's as much of a like weak personality he's not stupid. He is observant of these things, and when he's leaning on the other guy that he like likes to confide in and likes to take advice, and he's like, he can see like, okay, like I'm leaning on the wrong people right now when I'm leaning on Otto. It's like I have to turn to these other people because I think this guy's plotting against me.
Yeah, I mean, not and it's like not even necessarily plotting against him, but it's like preparing for his demise, like so he can just slither in. So I forgot the guy's name. We literally just talked about it last week, and it's like now I can't think of the life of me.
It was like Strong something. I forgot.
Maybe it is just Lord Strong. I think it is Lord Strong.
Oh, it might be Lord Strong, right? Yeah, okay. Well, let's just say that it is.
It's the guy with the beard. Just choose one and go with it, everybody. That sounds so bad, but I'm just saying. And yeah, like I said, it was just it was such a solid episode because again, it at least it's adding on to it's building other parts of the war gonna happen. Like Daemon he basically says, Daemon, you're dead to me. Go back to the Vale with your queen, the queen you're supposed to have. Like fuck off. Essentially, you're done. And Rhaenyra, she's gonna have to marry. So it's like, you do what you gotta do. Kind of remind me of like a Cersei and oh my god, no, it's Tywin in the like season 4 or something, or 5, where he was like, no, you're gonna have to marry someone, so get to it. Just reminded me of that conversation a little bit, but overall, it ended on a solid note. I'm really I'm looking forward to next week. I'm trying to think, did something else major happen? I just can't think about it. Or did we cover everything, Burn?
I mean, we like we had Rhaenyra like sneaking off with her uncle and sort of like experiencing like what it is like in King's Landing under the guise of an anonymity. Like she got to see like what the people like think of her. Like how they're already like, no, we're not gonna accept her as our queen. We want this Aegon baby to be our king because he's a dude basically. So it's like, again, like for her to like see that and sort of be like, well, it's not up to them. It's another thing. Like, okay, she's gonna have to battle it out with everybody. For this thing that's being passed down onto her. So, that is like one of those things that's not going away anytime soon. Yeah, and then the stuff with Alicent and Viserys was it was unfortunate, but it was a nice like dichotomy between the two. Where Alicent is like, her sexual experiences right now are out of duty, and and Rhaenyra is exploring her own passions. When she sleeps with Kristen Cole, it's like, okay, like she's able to take more agency over her own body. So that was it was very interesting. Seeing these two young women and their different experiences with that, and it's one of the better handled things I think I've seen in the Game of Thrones series so far, when they're handling like sexuality and stuff. Like, it was very mature, and it was very well done. It was very tasteful. It wasn't like it didn't feel exploitative.
No, just gross. Just gross.
I mean, the incest thing was gross, yeah. And then the whole Alicent thing was just, oh man, it was unfortunate.
That's all I gotta say. I can't. It just was so cringeworthy. I'm just like, oh no. Just like when Jon hooked up with his aunt. Not a fan. Not a fan of that at all. Just ugh. But anyways, yeah. Like I said, guys, what did you think about this episode? Did you cringe with me? Were you cheering for it, you sick people? Or are you guys liking it? I would love to know. Next episode we should probably see more of the dragons from the Valyrian side of the family. Yeah, I'm saying it right. I get it. It's Corlys Valyrian, and it's hard to say. It's all the same thing. Valyrian.
Yeah, Valyrian. Like Valyrian steel, but spelled a little bit differently.
It's a little hard to say. I'm sorry, but anyways. Yeah, we're gonna see more of that. It almost, like the preview at the very end of the credits, almost looked like another Red Wedding situation. So, I'm excited.
I mean, this definitely seemed like a calm before the storm episode. So I wouldn't be surprised if things started to pop off next week. Seeing as I think like next week is our last episode with these younger actresses. So, yeah, we're gonna see what goes down for sure.
Yeah, and Amelia Alcock and. I forgot the girl who plays Alicent, but man, they're so great, and hopefully we'll see more.
Emily
of them,
Carey.
Emily Carey. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see them more in like flashbacks and stuff, or just in other stuff. I would love to see them more movies or shows. But until next week, guys, we got more She-Hulk. That's kind of nearing the second third of the season, and Rings of Powers continue to dazzle us. So. Stay tuned for those episodes, guys. And as always, stay bodacious and keep on written for the both of us.
Absolutely, everybody. As always, be good and be safe, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.